Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is Game God Fluent, bringing you episode 2 of Let's Play Vagrus, the Riven Realms. Now, we're going to have to start a new game again and kind of skip past the dialogue and stuff that we already read. But I'm already really digging this because of the lore. And it's pretty interesting stuff. I love the world. Just lighting a smoke here, but I love the world and the idea of the world of Zarin. Or was it Zarine? Let's watch the beginning intro just to see what the name of the world was again. I think it was Zarin. It might be Zarine. And I would rather call it the right name. But, and a very cool premise that we're a Vagrus and traveling across dangerous lands. Let's go ahead and play the intro. Let's see what this says here. Zarin, Comitatus.
The River Realms, they call it. What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zarine.
Zarine.
Man.
All right, very good. I wanted to pronounce that right. Zarin did not sound particularly right.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, whoops.
This Comitatus I speak of had...
Alright. Up to scrap heap. We have to go through this again. Oh, we have to open the codex.
As we were coming up to the gates of Scrap Heap.
So we saw this in episode 1 if you guys want to see what happened up to this point. Track down Narbo. Alright. Breathe in. Okay. Breathe in. Time to outline your proposition. You explain to Narbo, okay, some choices have dependencies, meaning you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisite, perks, companions, resources, journal entries, and so on. Some choices involve tests that can be failed or succeeded with different consequences. Perks, characters, and resources can change the chance of success in tests. Test difficulty is represented by a number between 1 and 100 that you need to roll equal to or below. You explain to Narbo how you want him to give you a discount on a shipment of metal scraps, which you would then smuggle into Devon through contacts you have in the city's underworld. The profit on the shipment would be quite exquisite. You do not name your contact, but divulge enough of her that the plan looks solid. Buyers, you say, are lining up, expecting the shipment soon. Narbo sits in silence, eyes fixed on the table as if listening to some noise from afar. He does not cut you off at any time during your proposition. At length, after you are done, he looks up and gives you a weak smile. That sounds like you've been thinking a long time about it, he says as he shifts in his chair. And it's a great plan, except for the part where I give you a discount for you asking and not much else. And I don't do that, mate. That would make me, what, an almoner, the bodyguard says discreetly. That word? That a word? Narbo looks up at him. When the man nods, he turns back to you. I, an almoner, you see. I'm no almoner. You know what, you gotta do better than that. What you got for me? Okay. Let's see. Okay. We can tell him that we'll be in his debt. He'll make a tidy profit as it is, but we'll owe him a favor. Moderate chance of success. Increase your chance of success in the test by 10% by using 2 resourcefulness. Remind him that you two used to make a great team and this could rekindle that partnership. Very low chance of success. Reveal that you're in a bad spot and it's your last chance. This would spawn a Narbo's secret value must exceed the requirement. Let him know that in exchange for his help, you can help him out with the problem he might have right now. Let's do that one. Narbo's jaw drops when you insinuate that you know about his little problem. Oh, we do. Actually, that's right. Fuck me, mate. You are better connected than I thought, or you have something up your sleeve, the merchant says as he eyes Javik suspiciously. For a while he is quiet, then he looks up and narrows his eyes. Tell you what, I think we can help each other. You headed to Devon by way of Avernum, aye? When you nod, Narbo leans in and signals his bodyguard. The man with the dreadlocks steps closer and carefully produces a small packet from beneath his leather jerkin and puts it into the merchant's palm. This here little fella is mighty important to me, see? If you take this out the city and deliver it to my associate in Avernum, we're even. You get your discount scrap from me. The merchant offers you the package. Javik draws in a breath, but before he could speak, Narbo interrupts him. And before Pretty Boy here asks, no, I won't tell you what's in it, and don't even think about opening the package. What I can say is it ain't dangerous to you itself, but, you might want to keep it hidden from the damn militia of good old Crap Heap. You take the package. The way Narbo glares at you makes it clear that you had no other choice. This might just be the opportunity you had hoped for. The package is small enough to fit in your palm, feels very light, and is wrapped in fine leather. You pocket it after briefly observing it. You'll be looking for a man named Scornar in Avernum. He ain't to be trifled with either. Just tell him I sent you and you'll be fine. You can find him or his man in Lavinus Watering Hole. Most of the time. Give this little fellow to him and him only, understand? After you assure him you do, Narbo instructs you to give him an hour, then look for his people at the market and simply introduce yourself. They will know what price they should give you on the metal scraps by then. He motions to his man. You and Javik stand up and make ready to leave. Raver here will take you to the back exit. We don't want to give people idea they can come here to beg for almonds now, do we? Or anyone to connect us and run to the militia for that matter. You got what you came for, so you leave the Wraith stash through the back entrance and head to the Comitatus. End. Your journal located in the bottom left is now active. It is your means to follow stories and tasks. Oh, it's an actual journal. And this is a codex. We haven't learned what this stuff is. Open your journal now. The journal allows you to view your quests, tasks, and other related information. You can search for entries, search field, and filter them. Drop down filter button on the top left. Entries are separated into objectives and qualities into their respective panes. Objectives are your quests and ongoing stories. The text of a selected list item appears on the right. These describe the quest or task and provide active objectives. Unread entries have a blue exclamation mark icon and appear on top, while already read entries are marked by gold dots, active, a green check mark completed, or a red cross circle failed. Tasks are non-narrative missions and goals you can complete for rewards. There are several types, like trade opportunities or mercenary work, but in Pilgrims of the Wasteland, you can only find passengers here. Passengers have to be taken to their destination where they will compensate you for your trouble. Be careful because sometimes passengers will leave you if you take too long to get to the destination. Qualities can be statuses, gathered information, secrets, and so on. Unread entries have a blue exclamation mark icon and appear on top, while already read entries are marked by a gold circle icon. Close your journal after checking your objectives. Objectives. Package. Deliver it to a man named Scornar. The shipment. Alright. Buy everything for the journey at the market. 24 scrap metal goods. Have at least 800 supplies. The awnings equipment. Rumors, tasks. Wandering old man. Deliver the wandering old man to Ash. is this? Oh, it marks it, I guess. Qualities, cheap supplies. A merchant at Scoundrel's Lane is selling his surplus sheep. Right, we saw that because... ABC time, I don't know what that means. Because, he's got meat and stuff for cheap. Alright, let's open this tutorial, close the journal. The market pane is now active. Navigate to the market pane by clicking on this scales icon. Market pane displays the available goods you can buy at the settlement's market on the right and opens your cargo pane on the left. You can buy goods from the market or sell your own goods from your cargo hold here. The maximum cargo space is 630 slots. It cannot be expanded further. When buying or selling, buy or sell one increment by only clicking on the buy or sell button next to the listed goods. Holding shift and clicking and buy and sell buttons buys or sells a whole stack, respectively. Drag and drop the icon for buying and selling stacks of goods. Holding shift and clicking the icon opens a window where you specify the quantity you wish to buy or sell. Purchase 24 scrap metal. Alright, so if we shift click, buy. Oh, I hit control. Buy. What? Oh. It buys it in stacks of 6. And additional supplies and have at least 800 units. What's 800 units? Our cargo is 140 out of 198. Combat strength is 69. The measure of defensive power in crew combat. It's contested against the opponent's combat strength to define the chances of a success each round. Of a success attack each round. 12. We have 10 brass, 6 lyric, 5 changers. So it's like gold, silver, bronze. Alright, so how many additional? And 800 units. What does that mean? 800 units of supplies. Oh. We have 200. We have 700. So let's buy a whole stack of supplies. Equipment that you can attach to the Comitatus is sold on some markets or found throughout your travels. They provide bonuses and upgrades. You can switch between the market of goods and equipment using the buttons over the list of items on the market pane. Switch and pick the awnings equipment. Active effects, minus 20% consumption worker, minus 10% consumption slave. Linen awnings stretched over saddles and carts to block harmful weather effects and provide shade. Category harnesses. Requirements have at least one beast of burden. Okay, so let's go ahead and buy the awnings. Equipment you own are in a pool below the Comitatus illustration. In order to gain their bonuses, you need to equip them. First, by dragging and dropping them into an appropriate slot in the illustration. Equipment can only be placed in the slot that matches its type, except that equipment of any type can be placed into the miscellaneous slot. You can unequip equipment by dragging it back to the list. So, cargo, tools, slot is locked. Sorcery, navigation, arms, harnesses. There we are. Items, the third type of cargo, do not take up cargo space and are not equipable. They are used and traded in certain events. You can switch panes in settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus management on the left. You can now freely check the settlement tab. You can switch panes in a settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus management. Settlement. This. You can switch panes in a settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus management on the left. You can now freely check the settlement tabs. What are the settlement tabs? This? Oh. When you're done exploring, click on the exit arrow on the top right to leave scrap heap. Once you leave, you can now come back to this place in Pilgrims of the Wasteland, so make sure to do everything you want to do before venturing forth. At the foot of the ever-fuming mountains of the ancient dwarven kingdom lies Scrap Heap, the town of scavengers. Debris and junk is piled into veritable hills upon which the rickety homes of the decrepit inhabitants stand precariously. Ash lingers everywhere, and the sun is almost always absent from the twilit skies. Deals are struck day and night over the precious metal scraps gathered in the ruins of nearby Devendar Thar, while the Heap King oversees all from his dreaded tower. Shady eyes and soot-covered faces watch from sunder ash-laden awnings. Life is cheaper than iron here, some say. Stroll Scrounger's Lane, there's always something to be had here. You and Javik roam the dingy market called Scrounger's Lane at the foot of the great heap upon which the tower of the Heap King is built. Ash-covered awnings and dirty stalls line the labyrinthian streets, with stiflingly narrow alleys and tiny squares adding to the general confusion. Sometimes it's difficult to tell a shop from a dilapidated home, and for good reason. Most people who live here are also merchants to some extent, and even though the Heap King's militia is there to keep the peace, you can't help but notice all the shifty gazes from the deplorable types aimed at you. Heap King. The ruler of the town of Scrap Heap, the man called the Heap King, is widely considered to be a formidable fellow, though most admit that they have never seen him. Many years ago, after most trade houses that set up shop in the town got robbed and were driven out, a gang lord appeared and organized the previously chaotic and warring work teams. Eventually, his charm and power earned him rulership, rumored to have been an important man in the empire until his humiliation and exile. The Heap King now commands considerable personal influence over the junkyard town and its warring factions. You recall a little shop hidden in an alley. Its owner used to peddle dwarven curiosities. Perhaps he is still there. High chance of success. We'll go ahead and use 2 more. Success 56 to 80. The small shop is still there at the end of a serpentine alley on the south side of the market district. Standing outside of it, you notice how it is in much worse shape than you remember. Inside the decrepit scrap shack is an equally unkempt young fellow who hails you with a jolly smile. The shop looks empty. A short conversation reveals that the youngster is the son of the man who used to run this place. His father never came back from a forage into dwarven ruins a few months ago. Unfortunately, I don't have Dad's expertise on dwarves. Neither am I the adventurous sort, so by now I've sold all his remaining stock and I'm closing shop soon. Then I'm off and away from Crap Heap for good. Go south, maybe to them Dragonlands, he says, scratching his beard. You talk a bit about dwarven culture and his father's obsession with their forgotten technological wonders. You're about to say goodbye when he slaps his forehead. I still have something here that a Vagrus such as yourself might be interested in. He fetches a small brass compass out of his pocket and hands it to you. It is a masterwork, no doubt, sporting runes and detailed etchings on the sides. The fellow is willing to sell it to you for a token price. First, let's check the dwarves. The race known as Grey Dwarves, or by most people simply dwarves, is a descendant of the dwarves of old, altered and made homeless by the calamity. Stocky and sturdy, dwarves are a hardy folk. Men almost always grow beards. They are drawn to metal, jewels, and stonework. Their former merry and progressive nature turned into bitterness, pragmatism, and cynicism for the most part. Grey dwarves live up to the age of 200 to 250 years. Formerly, the mighty dwarven kingdom of Devendar Thar was the greatest ally of the empire, gifting humans most secrets of metal and stone that they used to form their own roads, bridges, and cities. Dwarven technology was a true marvel to behold, and the line of inventor kings governed Devendar Thar into a golden age of progress. Yet even before the calamity, the dwarves of Devendar Thar abandoned their ancestral ways in favor of technology, going as far as dedicating their entire lives to it instead of founding their own families, which resulted in a dwindling population. When the calamity struck, most of Devendar Thar was cursed and destroyed in a conflagration of fire and lava as the great mountains that the dwarven cities were built upon and partly into erupted like so many wounds on the earth. The several thousand survivors of the cataclysm became a wandering people, at the same time coveting and hating the technology that they think led to their downfall. These days, dwarves are nomads for the most part, dealing in gadgets and metalworking. Sometimes they make an attempt to enter the molten kingdom of Devendar Thar and learn something of their past, but that ends in disaster more often than not. Dwarves are scavengers, merchants, and inventors, and still their numbers fall constantly due to their reluctance to procreate. For all intents and purposes, dwarves are a dying race, and they don't seem to care. Aw, that's really kind of sad. Compass, active effects, +1 max movement. A wonder of the ancient world, it points north. Perks granted, +1 navigation. Significantly lower than the local price. Yes, we'll buy it. You and Javik roam the dingy market. Oh, okay. Let's take a look at the local prices and goods. Test fail. After spending an hour looking at wares, you realize there's nothing here you would fork out coins for. Of course, there are a lot of useful things, but you want to keep the rest of your purse intact should you run into difficulties on the road ahead. Then you notice that while you were feasting your eyes on the stall's offerings, a cut purse working at the market managed to get your coins. It could have been worse, but you still curse loud and long when you discover the missing money. Better leave it once, it can only get worse. -5 changer, and let's find the merchant who's selling the cheap supplies. It's not very difficult to find the man with the cheap supplies. Javik remembers his face from the memories he saw in the innkeeper's mind, so it's only a matter of time until he recognizes the merchant. The man looks quizzically at you after you tell him you know of his surplus of dried mushrooms and meat, slowly going bad on his hands, but he does not ask questions. In the end, you manage to haggle for half price. 187, that's a lot, and we should have bought this earlier. We already have 100. I'm not going to buy it. Let's leave the market. Let's walk up to the tower. Perhaps it's time to visit the Heap King. Walking up to the great heap to the immense tower is a daunting task. Up on the hill, it is even more difficult to breathe than in the ash-choked city at its feet. A hot wind blows from the south. Every step is slow torture. By the time you reach the gates of the tower, your chest is heaving and you keep coughing up soot. Before you rises the tower of the Heap King, ruler of this trash pile of a town. The whole structure is cobbled together from scrap, with the lower levels covered in metal sheets. A huge bonfire of yellow-white flame burns on its topmost level day and night, a beacon for the scavenging teams to follow home. Looking nigh impregnable, the fortress has only one entrance. A small group of guards sneers malevolently at you as you approach. "Better turn back if you have no business here, vagabond," the ranking gatekeeper says from under a mask attached to his bronze skullcap. Ask them where you could acquire an invitation. "Perhaps you could try licking my arsehole and see where it gets you," one of the guards says loud enough for you to hear. A round of applause and guffaws follow. The ranking guard does not laugh, but does nothing to reprimand his men either. "My duty is to stop anyone without official business to enter, not to educate them where to get a pass," he says and walks by to the others. "Nothing will change his mind." You walk down the hill. Well, you know what? We're probably not going to be this way again, so let's just buy the supplies. Okay, now we leave in the top right, leave the settlement. Packed up, restocked on supplies, and with all your business here concluded, you finally make ready to leave the decrepit old town of Scrap Heap behind in the morning. You spend the night inside a guarded compound, not for free though. -1 Leerg. You set out at dawn. Ashes flitting from the sky and the distant mountains rumble ominously in the morning twilight as your comitatus reaches the west gate of the town. You notice almost immediately that the militia at the gates is questioning and inspecting travelers. Move along towards the inspection. You realize that even if they are looking for the package Narbo gave you, there's a minuscule chance of finding it among several departing caravans, all made up of dozens of people, respectively. Besides, the packet is tiny and well hidden at the bottom of a sack of dried mushrooms. A robed magistrate of the Heap King appears to coordinate the search effort, picking out people or even whole traveling groups for inspection. As your comitatus draws near, it takes only a passing glance from him to check you and your crew before he mentions to the guards to let you through. You quietly pass under the gate and out into the broken wastelands. The comitatus is well on its way, and Scrap Heap is a mere dot on the horizon by the time Javik joins you at the front of the line. Just like I said, you made the right choice with this venture. Talk of how you may have saved us is spreading like wildfire, he says with a faint smile. Of course, we do have to make it alive to Devon with the cargo, but it's a good start, don't you think? Agreed, there may be hope left for the comitatus after all, and you know it's large part in thanks to you and your abilities, not mine. Javik smiles as he bows his head in thanks. Not that I fully agree, but it's my pleasure to be of use, and I'm sure the journey will be fine. It's not like we started this business yesterday. With that, you both go back to your duties and the constant monitoring of the horizon. If all goes well, you should reach the Wound in a few days, where you can turn south along the edge of the Molten Tongue and travel down to Avernum. The chasm called the Wound is a 15 miles long cleft that runs between broken hills right next to the dead forest on its southern side. True to its name, the 100 to 200 yard deep ravine's bottom glows with a crimson light and is covered with blood-like liquid. The penetrating horrid smell of a gangrenous wound permanently covers the whole area. No one has ever returned from the ill-fated ventures to the bottom of the pit. Abominable creatures born of blood-like liquid wander the wound's vicinity, sometimes attacking indiscriminately, other times not paying mind to passers-by. The journey continues, +3 morale. And your progress is saved at checkpoints. Whenever you leave a settlement, reach a story-related checkpoint, as well as the start of each in-game day, your game is saved automatically, overwriting the previous autosave save. Manual saving is unavailable in the standalone story Pilgrims to the Wasteland. In the open world main campaign, you can save manually in the game menu, F10 escape, except during combat and events. You can load your save games from the load menu or from the main menu. Hold space.
There they were, with a full cargo hold and filled with newfound hope. Yet, the road ahead still promised hardships and peril. I traveled with them southwards, expecting to reach more habitable lands beyond the Molten Tongue's river of lava.
Oh, I have to equip that compass. Guarding your... Put the strain on your guards. How do I go back to my cargo? Are they going to let me? Let's see, F11. Scouting, acquire supplies, camp. Cargo tab, R. We have the Dwarven compass. Let's put it in navigation. +1 movement. Alright, well, let's go one at a time. Crew management UI is now active. Click on the sheet in the top left corner to open it. The crew management window allows you to manage your comitatus. Morale is the general move of your comitatus. If it ever drops to 1, there's a chance that the comitatus dissolves and you lose the game. You can see the current effects of your morale below the rating. Morale. Keen. Okay. Obedience indicates how satisfied your slaves are. Low obedience leads to theft, runaways, and worse. Be sure to guard your slaves with enough fighters and treat your slaves well, or punish them consistently to raise obedience. Nutrition allows you shows you how well fed your crew is. Low nutrition incurs penalties. Extra rations raise nutrition while starving your crew repeatedly lowers it. Vigor indicates how tired the comitatus is. Low vigor results in penalties on tests and in a drastically slower comitatus, which can spell doom quite fast. You can see the current effects of your vigor below the rating. Energetic. So how tired the comitatus is. Nutrition is sustained. Obedience is compliant. Be sure to guard your slaves with enough fighters. Treat your slaves well. Okay. Upkeep is how much you owe your crew. You can pay them at the end of each day or keep collecting debt. Consumption is how much food your crew consumes each day. Running out of supplies leads to quick death in the wastelands. Workforce is generated by workers and slaves. You have to have enough workforce to cover the comitatus' needs, including beasts, crew, and passengers. Going below the required number bestows serious penalties. Passengers are people your comitatus takes to their destinations for rewards. You can take on passengers in some events and settlements. They also consume supplies. Lizard icon. Hold space. There's the lizard icon, the supplies they're costing. Here you can see the number of each crew and beast type you have in your comitatus. Consult the tooltip for each type to learn more about their role. Outriders are special because you need a fighter and a mount to be able to create an outrider by using the plus button. While outriders are excellent fighters, mounts with outriders carry cargo. You can always dismount fighters using the minus button. For now, add an outrider, then close this window by clicking the X to the top corner. Let's go ahead and see what the tooltips are, though. Outriders are mounted fighters, exceptionally good when attacking, created by mounting a fighter on a mount. Mounts haul cargo and can be used to create outriders, type reptile. Each riderless mount carries 5 cargo. Beasts of burden, type reptile. Each beast carries 80. Fighters can defend the comitatus and attack others on your command. When fighters would be lost and you have no more fighters in the comitatus, you start losing scouts and workers. You need 5 to be poorly defended, 7 to be partially defended, and 11 to be fully defended. Scouts can retrieve information about adjacent nodes. They are decent in a fight. Workers take care of everyday chores and haul cargo. They can fight, but not too well. You need 8.7 workforce from your workers, slaves, passengers combined for their efficient operation of the comitatus. You currently produce 16.95. Each worker carries 1 cargo. And slaves function the same as workers, but they have no upkeep and less consumption. You need 8.7. Okay, each slave carries 2 cargo. Okay, let's make an outrider. Changes some things here. Click X. Alright, I guess we keep moving. You have run out of movement points and need to camp, ending the day. Being on the road all day, spending most of your MP lowers the vigor of your comitatus that you can replenish by camping. You can also camp earlier than running out of MPs, which helps raise vigor faster. Select the camp icon tent from the radial menu of the node you currently occupy. At the end of each in-game day, the comitatus makes camp and settles down for the night. Supplies are consumed and movement points are refreshed after camping. At each camp, you can decide to offer normal or double wages for the current day, independently of whether you pay them or not. Double payment increases morale. You can also choose to pay all your debts to your crew at this time, pay now, or accrue payments, pay later, but the longer you delay, the more grumpier your crew gets. Oh wow, we don't have much money to pay our crew. Obedience and nutrition also appear here, as well as the options to discipline or liberate slaves. Workforce shows how much workforce generated by workers and slaves you need to maintain the comitatus. Going below the required value bestows serious penalties. Alright, so double payment increases morale, X times 2. Pay later. Obedience and nutrition. Discipline or liberate slaves. Workforce. You have the option to give out less or more supplies under rations, which penalizes or boosts vigor and morale, respectively. Starving your crew will have long-term negative effects on nutrition as well, but it may be necessary sometimes to save rations. All the lock icons allow you to save the current setting of the corresponding UI element, so it remains the same for the next camp. Lock. Under acquire supplies, you can send your crew out into the wasteland to find supplies and sometimes even other goods. Base chances for these activities depend on your related perks, deputies, crew, and the region you are in. You can also see the expected yields below each activity. The cost of hunting and foraging is movement points or vigor if you are out of MPs. Hunting uses scouts and has a chance to get you a large number of supplies. Critical failure might kill scouts. Click on the scouts to allow hunting. Foraging is more reliable but yields fewer supplies. It can use workers and slaves. You can add them to or remove them from the activity by clicking on their crew portraits. Critical failure might kill workers or slaves. From the camp UI, hunting and foraging results appear after you end the day. I didn't really get to see where that was. Oh, acquire supplies. The summary of what happened to your crew that day can be seen on the right. You can also talk to your companions using the speech bubble icons beneath their portraits. Shows what happened right there. Crew. Companions heal naturally during camp. The chance of healing or worsening condition can be seen on the bar below the portraits. Using the button on the right allows the use of medical supplies for increased healing chances and effectiveness. Medical supplies are quite valuable. Use them wisely. Healing results appear after you end the day. You must also set your defense orders for the night. A more lenient defense has a higher risk of a nighttime ambush and a negative effect on obedience. When you have everything set up, click the End Day button. This will sometimes trigger camp events. We can't pay now. Oh my gosh. We actually have to pay later. Obedience is submissive. Discipline, no, we're good. Nutrition is sustained, we're fine there. Energetic. Acquire supplies. Oh, we have it on automatic. Go ahead and send people out to forage. We don't need to. Companions. What is this button? Okay, we can talk. You approach Javik. He's tending to one of your beasts of burden. When he sees you wish to talk, he steps away, motioning to a handler to finish what he started. What's on your mind, Vagrus? Ask what he thinks about Narbo's package. Whatever it is in it, your friend was really concerned to get it out of Scrap Heap with none the wiser and get it to his man in Avernum. When he sees your thoughtful response, Javik adds, I sincerely hope you don't plan on opening the damn thing. We're in enough of a predicament as it is, and that would surely antagonize this Scornar fellow who, in Narbo's mind, appeared as a tough customer, someone your friend was clearly afraid of. Ask what he thinks of Avernum, about what you can expect there. Oh yeah, I remember, you haven't been there for a long time. Well, Avernum is less of a provincial town like Scrap Heap these days, and more like one of the great cities of the Empire. Sure, it's not as large as Devon or Tor Zog's Shelter, but it's a busy city with a lot of people and commerce. They say that the prefect who oversees the place has his own private thing going on, and he's fairly easy on the crime bosses. Well, at least on those that play along. Trade from the region concentrates on Avernum and everyone wants to get their share. Torzag's Shelter. A great city in the middle regions of the Empire, Torzag's Shelter occupies the inside of a gigantic system of caves in the belly of the Black Blood Mountain. It is often called Sargerad City due to the presence of the Church of Sargerad's greatest temples. Torzag's Shelter is built inside a cyclopean cavern, half natural, half man-made, inside the easternmost large mountain hill of the range called Black Blood Mountain. The cave, along with its web of tunnels and smaller caverns, is big enough to house an entire city. The only public entrance to Torzag's is a mile wide and several hundred yards tall cave mouth, significantly enlarged since the Orc War, blocked by a reinforced city wall with a gatehouse and towers. Buildings are placed quite close to each other due to the lack of space, and many dwellings are carved into the rock itself. The inner side of the cavern has terraces, and these house the villa and temple districts. Since the Church of Sargerad considered Torzag's Shelter its own, they overlooked its siege in the war. Most of the temple district is dedicated to the god of revenge and curses, Sargerad, as well as to the Knights of the Black Sun, so much so that often Torzag's Shelter is referred to as Sargerad City. A great coliseum can be found here, and gladiator games are organized often. The lower parts, closest... we should probably read this some other time when we're near Torzag's Shelter. No. The lowest parts, closer to the city, make up the merchant district, while the undercity, situated below the terraces and the sides and the walls themselves, is home to the city's poor and forsaken. The truly rich live in roof villas, huge buildings attached to and carved in the giant stalactites that hang from the cave ceiling. These often have intricate elevator systems and even hanging bridges between them. Lighting is a constant problem in the ever-dark cave of Torzag's Shelter. Most of it is done with great metal chandeliers hanging from the cave roof. These are filled with oil imported from the Bronze Desert or bright kelp brought in from Everdark. The chandeliers are covered in dwarven runes that enhance the burning and light emission. Even so, with thousands of torches, braziers, and light carriers, an important and traditional profession there, all throughout the city, Torzag's is constantly in a twilight. People who grow up here get so used to the darkness that they're often blinded by harsh sunlight. When the sun sets outside in the jagged waste, city officials turn off the giant ruined chandeliers and true darkness settles on the shelter. When the orcs were brought into existence by the 12 over 3 centuries ago, they were used as weapons against the enemies of the Empire. Soon, however, they learned that they were enslaved by dark magic without hope to ever be free of it, and they became enraged. In their rage, they almost tore down the Empire until the Dragon Lords, afraid of the power of the orcs themselves, joined the war. After a long and devastating conflict, the orcs were hunted to near extinction, yet a smaller faction of united tribes remained defiant for a while after the end of the war. Orcs loyal to war leader Torzag captured the subterranean obsidian mines of the mountain range called Black Blood Mountain. The locale could be defended easily by collapsing side tunnels and concentrating on the main cave entrance, which was also too narrow for large dragons, thereby denying the enemy their air's superiority. Torzag and his comrades enlarged the caves and dug deeper into the earth, eventually living there for almost 15 years. At length, infighting and a lack of supplies made them more complacent to the truce with the Empire, and so they ended up relocating to Darkmoor. Imperial forces retook the now abandoned mines, and since the main cave was already depleted of obsidian, they set up camp there. Many displaced inhabitants of the region ended up taking refuge in the caves, which slowly became a settlement in its own right. Its close proximity to the Emperor's Road, potent sources of obsidian, the natural shelter from the unforgiving elements, and later fortifications added to the mountain ridge, all made the city a very good place to live. Sadly, the underground settlement also gave rise to crime that is difficult to root out, as well as a tight, crowded cityscape. Imperial governors named it Tenebritris, but no one ever took to it, instead continued calling it Torzag's Shelter. The city developed with lightning speed in the last 2 centuries and now stands as one of the most important trading posts of the Middle Imperial regions, drawing people from the neighboring Dragonlands and Searing Plains that you would not be able to interact with otherwise. That sounds freaking awesome. That place. Unbelievable. A whole cave city. Ask him about his past. He speaks so little of it. There's not much to say, really. You know most of it already. I spent most of my youth on the road where I learned to handle all kinds of beasts. My abilities were a great help in that, but I also had really good teachers. Eventually, I sought training to enhance my telepathic skills, but I returned to life on the road later on. We met a little after that. Ask him where he got his telepathic training. Javik frowns and looks away. That is something I do not wish to divulge. It's not a matter of trust, you know. I swore an oath not to give away anything of my mentors, and I intend to keep my word. Ask where he was born and what got him on the road in the first place. I can't say where I was born. My mother was on the move. The way Javik says mother seems oddly hurtful, but that wasn't for very long. She sold me. I was a slave. Never knew my folks because of that. Your silence prompts a faint smile as he adds, I never said it because you never asked, but it's no secret really. I was liberated at quite a young age by a Vagrus who saw potential in me and my abilities. Ask him about his strange abilities. I am what they call afflicted, that is, someone with abilities beyond those of mortals. These abilities vary greatly from person to person. Mine are what you might call telepathic, mental powers that can sense, enhance, and even manipulate the thoughts of both beasts and men. These afflictions are thought to have originated from the calamity. I couldn't say myself. I only know that since I've had them since I can remember. It started manifesting in inexplicable sensations and a sixth sense, but with hard work and exercise, I was able to turn it into a controlled skill set. Enough chatting for tonight. Then we have this person. Morwen. We'll talk to her next night, because I don't know who she is. Post no guards, post guards. +1 vigor, -1 obedience, -1 morale, higher chance of ambush. We'll post guards. Turns to well rested though. Let's see how long we've been playing. 47 minutes. I've got to wrap it up. So it'll autosave on the next day. Morwen is discussing something with a few scouts when you approach them. She sees and steps away from her company, joining you next to a tent in the shadows. You immediately start to feel anxious, as if roused out of torpor by Tarkian coffee. The effects of her demonkin heritage, no doubt. Anything I can do for you? Ask what she thinks about the Comitatus. What I think is that if everyone does what they're supposed to, we can deal with most problems on the way. There's a moment of silence and you realize she is done talking about this. What do you think about Javik? Javik is someone I did not trust. He can read people's thoughts, they say, but he's always been kind to everyone, and he knows his way around beasts. I'm glad he's traveling with us. Ask about your past. I was a mercenary. I don't want to talk about that. Then you hired me, and you've known everything there is worth knowing me since then. Ask about her demonkin. She seems thoughtful for a moment. Now, I can't speak for all of us because there are so many kinds and variants of our race. We are called demonkin since it is said that demonic blood runs in our veins. Around us, people feel uneasy or anxious. Each of us has abilities that men of your empire do not possess. I can see in the dark. Cold gets to me slower and my skin gets burned less likely than that of humans. It's all very practical. Oh, and I have these. She points to her horns and bone spikes. Demonkin. Demonkin is the general name for the many changed beings that have demonic blood in their veins, but it is specifically used in the context of Zerine for those that are less than half demon, that is, those who have demonic ancestry in their grandparents or earlier. Demonic blood typically manifests as an aura of uneasiness that surrounds the demonkin, as well as in physical and sometimes sorcerous traits born by the person. Each type of demon produces a set of traits in its demonkin typical to its own form and abilities. Thus, a Morgai demonkin would either have fangs, heat vision, the ability to fly or turn into smoke, enhanced strength or agility, or any number of these, just like a Morgai demon itself. Demons typically mingle with humankind, while some other races, such as the Dwarfs or Elves, do not have demonkin, or at least nobody has reported one yet. Ogres have been known to be able to mix with demonkind similarly to humans. Demonkin became fairly common on the continent after the calamity, as they released arcane energies disrupted and broke the barriers between the outer realms and Zerine, allowing denizens of the plains to enter and thrive in the Riven realms. Most people can't really tell them apart from the many other strange creatures that roam the continent these days. Demonkin do not have a culture or realm of their own, living among other races, typically, most frequently among humans. The Empire has been known to make use of their unique abilities, and the demonic cult of Baal-ur-Kal, and especially the Nosferatu Sisterhood, has drawn many of them into their fold. Still, most of them are very independent and wish to be their own masters. Most of the Demonkin on the continent do not have an agenda in concert with that of the Legion, yet some may be agents of that ominous power. Huh. Interesting. I have to run and call it an episode here. Let me go ahead and end the day. And now we should have an autosave. Fresh day. Thank you so much. Yep, game saved automatically. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it, guys. Hope you're enjoying. This is one heck of a game. The writing and world that this game possesses is unreal. I mean, wow. Scrap Heap and Torzag's Cave City. That's just crazy. A river of lava, the chasm, the wound. I don't know if that's the river or if that's the wound. I think that's the wound. But just wicked stuff, man. So cool. So I hope you're enjoying, and I hope you'll join me for more, because much more to come. Appreciate you guys, though, all the way. Much love, peace, and joy. Take care. I mean that, and I will see you guys next time with more if you tune in. So make sure to do that. See you guys. Bye-bye.